Good evening, gentlemen, and welcome to the 2024 Playoff Clinching Scenarios video. A little bit of a different format for you this year, so we're going to get to it right away. We got games this week between the Precious Creatures and the Fighting Twats. We've got What the Hell up against Space Mountain. We'll see Pittsburgh take on the Stabbing Unicorns. Clubber versus We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together. Mount Logan Face Punchers in a tough one against King of the North. And Churchill Moss versus Don't Mess with the Wong Guy. All this and not more coming up next. Cheers, boys.
Hi, sports fans. This is Bob Baskins reporting from the very bowels, the inner workings of Twat Stadium. Yes, that's right. I am in the boiler room investigating the heating systems for today's game, and I can tell you things are only beginning to heat up. Speaking of heat, the general manager of Precious Creatures lit the NFC world on fire this year with controversial comments that still ruffle many feathers. Yes, that's right. He will be last in the league and in fact is the only member of the entire NFC that is a confirmed mathematical elimination. And then we have the breadwinner of the Twats, Peabody, Josh Penner, a man of even more mystery than even James himself, led off of the backs of Chase, St. Brown, Jacobs, Monty, and Kittle, the most formidable offense in the entire NFC, leading the points race by a sweet margin. It's still okay. It's still okay. While Precious Creatures have nothing, absolutely nothing to play for in this game, other than a further enhancement of football IQ, the Fighting Twats have a lot on the line. With a win, they are all but guaranteed second place and the coveted playoff bye. With a loss, not so certain. So we will see you on the field. Let's hear it for the Precious Creatures and the Fighting Twats, two franchises that will probably never see this video.
And on to a warmer climate for our next game. Clubber versus We Are Never Getting Back Together. For Matt Murphy, a tough first season. His point differential will allow him to climb no higher than 9th place. While Clubber, stuck in the mushy middle, has to get past both Jared and I to claim that final playoff spot. He'll need to beat us both by 40 points or see us both lose and take a win himself. A tough matchup at weights. We'll see what happens. On to the next game. Coming to you from the Great White North as we get prepared for the Churchill Moss versus Don't Mess with the Wong Guy. Don't Mess with the Wong Guy. Not much on the line. He's already clinched first. He's going to get the bye. He's on to the semifinals. For Churchill Moss, a return to the playoffs on the horizon. First time in years. A historically terrible year last year, and they're back to the dance. They could clinch as high as 3rd. Their real battle is with King of the North in the points battle to see who will come out and top to finish 4th. And we await to see what will happen. As the Polar Bears roll in, we're on to the next game. And now, because I couldn't think of another setting, I bring you Matt Oberholzer and What the Hell versus Thomas O'Rourke's Space Mountain from in front of a fish tank. Both teams are going to miss the playoffs. Rough years for both squads. Matty came up short in the last week and it crushed his playoff hopes. He'll look for bigger and better things moving into the consolation playoff bracket and into next season. And then there's Thomas. Thomas drives a tank better than Erwin Rommel. He somehow still almost made the playoffs, and he has all of our draft picks for next year. There's no hope for next season, so to any of you who do make the playoffs, best of luck to you. If you don't get it done this year, it ain't happening next year. And that's the last of my reports. Back to Paul. Alright, so here I am to issue a retraction. It has been brought to my attention that I misspoke. If Jared, myself, and Clubber all lose this week, then the winner of the Space Mountain What the Hell game will in fact qualify for the playoffs. I state my regret.
Hello. This is Paul Spence, standing live in the parking lot just outside the Tit Dome, here to set up today's incredible matchup, runner-up for Game of the Week. This one really comes down to a tale of two franchises. Pittsburgh, young, brash, confident. They have found success early and often. And they are doing this on the backs of every Steeler that has ever played the game. Unfounded. And they are doing this with the 9th worst points for tiebreaker record. Unfounded. And yet they are doing this. And then there is the much maligned stabbing unicorns, as we all know. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Jerry Jones, money, power, and no ring. But much like every other stabbing unicorn year, we must ask ourselves, could this year be the year? This game is massive, massive, massive for both teams. With Pittsburgh, that second place bye is very much on the line, and he needs a win to secure it. As for the stabbing unicorns, they squeeze the very life out of that final playoff spot with their hands as they clench tightly to it. They must win. A loss will spell disaster. Paul Spence going inside to warm up. Hello. This is Andre DeMercury, and I am standing at the precipice of Mount Logan, where, as you can see, you get a really good bird's eye view of the townsfolk below. I have with me the undisputed game of the week between King of the North and the Mount Logan Face Punchers. Yes, indeed, both could reach playoff glory. Both could fall out into misery. One could flip one way, one could flip the other way. There is a lot on the line. On one hand, we have King of the North, who is currently sitting in 4th spot. Long gone are the days of the Packer first draft mentality that has been replaced with wise decision making and strong leadership that has put King of the North in the perennial contender conversation, but he just needs to get over that hump. And plus, we all know, he's got Saquon. And then we have the Mount Logan Face Punchers, as we all know, is the current leader of the GOAT conversation with his recent string of successes. Multiple rings, multiple playoff appearances, multiple finals appearances. With this year, he is sitting in 7th, looking in, creeping, and peaking with a 3.5 point differential between him and the current last playoff spot. It is tighter than a nun's ninny. Has the voodoo run out, or does Mount Logan have one last spell up his sneaky sleeve? Andrew DeMercury saying, I cannot wait for week 14. I only have one thing to say. Let's hear it for the 6-team playoffs. Oh, yes. Best of luck to all my brothers. Here we go. Oh, the NFC.